therefore she becomes more didactic, more tyrannical, more difficult to deal with. She's a diva about the size of Beyonce, but on a 50p budget, is the way I would best describe Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle faced a disaster in 2024 when the Hollywood Reporter, now this is a publication that should be on her side, revealed the truth about her dictator-like, bullying-like behavior. So, Lee, I want to kick off with the Hollywood Reporter because the Hollywood Reporter matters, okay? It is one of the most important publications for the entire entertainment industry. It is a Bible for the Hollywood elites. So this story is huge. Why Hollywood keeps quitting on Harry and Meghan is the headline. But then within this piece is a complete destruction of the way that Meghan Markle treats people. And in fact, this is just like the types of stories that I wrote during her time in the royal family and was accused, of course, of making things up or somehow being racist. But now her precious Hollywood types are saying exactly the same thing. So what is the key quote? This is a source close to Harry and Meghan, Lee, who says that everyone is leaving the employ of the Sussexes because, quote, everyone's terrified of Meghan. She belittles people. She doesn't take advice. They're both poor decision makers. They change their minds frequently. Harry is a very, very charming person, no airs at all, but he's very much an enabler. And she's just terrible. Now, this was an absolute major moment, Chris Davies, in the downfall of Meghan Markle in Hollywood, because you'll remember for a long time when there was the serious bullying allegation at Buckingham Palace, when there were all of the claims that I actually first reported, goodness me, back in 2018, so goodness, nearly 7 years ago now, about the fact that Catherine and Meghan had fallen out to begin with because of the way that Meghan was speaking to her staff at Kensington Palace. Because of the way, Chris Davies, Meghan was bullying her staff at Kensington Palace. Now, Meghan always tried to claim that we were somehow culturally insensitive for suggesting this. We just didn't understand, Chris Davies, how things worked in Hollywood. It was nothing to do with Meghan's behavior. It was all to do with a certain British sensitivity. We just didn't understand. But that's not the case, is it? Because the Hollywood Reporter was only speaking to Americans, was only speaking to Hollywood figures whose description of her, as we just heard there, was completely damning.
Well, it's a very interesting relationship that Meghan Markle has with the truth, because it seems to bear no resemblance to anyone else's truth apart from her own. It's also interesting that karma, Dan, it takes a while, but it does come around. And considering the revelations in that so-called book of Harry's, it's quite remarkable now how things have shifted. When they first went to the States, I think people were reasonably excited to see them, those that have an interest in so-called celebrities, as the new kids on the block. But of course, as time passes, the Oprah interviews have dried up, interest in them has dried up, and so therefore she becomes more didactic, more tyrannical, more difficult to deal with. She's a diva about the size of Beyonce, but on a 50p budget, is the way I would best describe Meghan Markle. And I think it would be lovely if they followed through on what they said they were going to do when they moved to Montecito and enjoyed the peace and quiet. And let's have the same from them.
I mean, they do not want peace and quiet, Charlie Downes, do they? But it's been a bad year in lots of ways. I mean, they only raised $1 million, which for them is utterly pathetic given the money that they raised for themselves. But I do think the worst moment of the year for Harry and Meghan were the revelations contained in the Hollywood Reporter, because all of a sudden you can't just write off the claims in the UK. And remember, there remains, Charlie, this bullying investigation under wraps at Buckingham Palace. We have never seen the results.
Yeah, well, I think this is key, this whole idea that they want a quiet life. I mean, I find it so tiresome talking about these two because it's so obvious that,
apologies,
for them, it's all good. Any attention is good attention for them. I think these are the types of people that we're dealing with here. She is another example. Again, she belongs to this kind of, what gets called woke phenomenon. But in her personal conduct, she is deeply unpleasant. She professes these, kind of left-wing, right-on
ideals,
views about the world. But actually, in the way that she treats people, by all accounts, allegedly, she's very unpleasant. And it's funny because, again, this is a political paradigm that seems to prioritize what you say rather than what you do. And that is crucial, I think. The brilliant Tim Dillon, American comedian, he called Meghan Markle just another sociopath with a logo. And I think that perfectly sums her up. She's somebody who seemingly is only interested in selling her product. She started a lifestyle brand. It was called something like American Riviera or something like that. It's clear that she's trying to sell a kind of aesthetic, but it's completely hollow. It's completely corporate, completely soulless. And I think that's what comes of, being this type of person, this kind of very unpleasant person, but who is at the same time moving in these elite media circles. It just makes you completely disconnected from reality. And I think that's her to a T.
Just another sociopath with a logo. Oh my goodness, I hadn't heard that. I absolutely love it.
Isn't it?
Yes. Who was that comedian?
Tim Dillon. He's a brilliant American comedian. Very funny.
Love it. That is, that is perfectly put, because that is the reality, isn't it, Chris Davies? Royalty is such an honor. And I'll tell you why it's such an honor, because you don't have to work for a living, but you have the option, if you want to take it on, to bring real change to a few key issues. And Chris, I'm a real monarchist, and that's not to say I support everything the royal family does or every member of the royal family. We know there have been some bad eggs. But if you look at members of the royal family who decide to use that unique power for good, so Queen Elizabeth II with the Commonwealth, for example, or Princess Diana, who Meghan Markle models herself on. But look at the issues and the causes that Meghan Markle changed forever. The way people dealt with HIV/AIDS patients, for example, the way people spoke about bulimia, the plight of landmines, and of course homelessness, which is a big project that Prince William is taking on. If you do royalty properly, you do have the opportunity to make real change. And Meghan Markle, I can't point to one cause that she has furthered or bettered. Can you?
No, Dan, she's a grifter. She would be well advised to stop attempting to be the 2025 answer to Diana, Princess of Wales, and to take a leaf out of the book of Princess Anne, who, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated, understated members of the royal family, who absolutely understands the privilege that she has and the duty and responsibilities that come with it in a way that Meghan Markle never could and never would. What's quite clear now is that when she married Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, as he is now, she had no intention of hanging around. I'm almost 100% convinced that this whole episode is playing out exactly as she intended it to, but with one obvious exception. She hasn't got the noughts on her bank balance that she hoped she would have by this point in the curve.
Indeed. So is there going to be another billionaire around the corner? Who knows? We will see. Time will tell. But at number 12, sticking with the royal theme, Narinder Kaur, who decided that it was right to attack Catherine, the Princess of Wales, over her appearance without just acknowledging the fact she'd gone through 6 months of brutal chemotherapy. Watch. The Good Morning Britain and Jeremy Vine panellist, big-time Labour activist too, Narinder Kaur, has blamed racism and sexism for the outcry over her deciding to criticise the so-called ageing looks of our glorious Catherine, the Princess of Wales, on Remembrance Sunday, without acknowledging that Kate has had to endure 6 months of grueling chemotherapy. Now, Narinder sparked international outrage. This has gone all around the world by writing on X, genuine question, why has Kate aged so much? Isn't she only 42? Is she a smoker? That's the only explanation. Oh, is it the only explanation? The only explanation? Really, Narinder? Well, you know I don't believe in deplatforming people. So I brought back The Clash to go one-on-one with Ms. Kerr.
Fan of the William and Kate, and I am
You're a troll
fan
of them.
Harry and Meghan.
You're a troll of them. You
Listen,
decided to raise her looks after 6 months of chemo. By the way, Narinder, you've got absolutely no evidence that Catherine is a smoker. How dare you suggest that? Because it's almost as if you're trying to say it's her fault that she's got cancer, and you're even trying to say she doesn't have cancer.
Fly News, as you said, Sky News, I did read that and think it's pre-cancer. There's so much misinformation. I'm not trolling Catherine. When I put that tweet out, trust me, it wasn't the best tweet, but I was thinking of smoking. I'd always gone about smoking to all my friends and family. They're a waste of money. They can give you cancer.
You had no idea that Catherine smoked.
There's pictures of Catherine. She used to smoke.
In 2007, there is a picture of Catherine with a packet of cigarettes in her bag. You have no evidence that she has ever touched a cigarette.
No, there is evidence out there. She was smoking on holiday.
Now, look, again, let me be very clear, Charlie Downes, I don't believe that people should be cancelled for what they say, but because I know a lot of people are saying, well, you shouldn't have had Narinder on and she should never get another media gig again. But actually, what I wanted to do there, Charlie, it was a very, very long interview, which people can obviously look back in our archive to find it. But what I wanted to do was actually prove that Meghan Markle's Sussex squad, of which I believe Narinder is a part, now this is her online gang, are actually just trolls. And it's a huge, it sort of displays a huge hypocrisy with Meghan and Harry, who are constantly talking about the need for safety, as they call it online. But they don't give a damn when it's their own people throwing mud at someone like Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Because it wasn't just this example this year, Charlie. You know, all sorts of allegations were made about Catherine. I mean, earlier this year, the Sussex squad, earlier last year, I need to get used to that, it's 2025. Earlier last year, the Sussex squad were trying to claim that Catherine may have been secretly killed by William.
Yeah, I mean, I do struggle with this, I'll be honest with you, Dan. I struggle with the fact that somebody like Narinder Kaur is able to make a living in this business, because she is somebody who is just so continuously unpleasant to people. You know, and sure, maybe she does deserve a platform. You know, again, I struggle with that, I have to be honest with you. But this is someone who is, you know, just like, she makes her money by being this way to people. I think that Catherine is a rare example in mainstream life of somebody who carries herself with dignity, who carries herself with grace, even having gone through what she's gone through in the last year. She is what an English queen should look like, quite frankly. I mean, she has all the credentials of a monarch. And I think that that kind of I don't know, just that kind of spirit, we don't see that anymore. We certainly don't see it from people like Meghan Markle or indeed her husband. But it's something that our nation is desperately crying out for. And it's no surprise that a gutter Labour activist like Narinder Kaur is trying to tear that down, because in a certain way, I think Princess Kate embodies everything that she hates, which is anything that smacks of grace, anything that smacks of regalness, anything that smacks of class, when actually the British spirit loves those things. But it's just these resentful people like her just can't stand it.
Chris Davies, where did you stand on this one?
Well, where I stand on this, Dan, as with a number of other people in the rundown, is that opinions are like backsides. Everybody's got one. And Narinder is a classic example of that. She is the lowest form of gutter pond life, to be honest with you. When it comes to racism, and sexism. You know, if we're going to play Narinda Bingo, you can almost predict before she comes on what she's going to say, that she will talk over people relentlessly. In my house, she's become Narinda Kettle, because as soon as she comes on, that's what I reach for. I turn the sound off and I put the kettle on. I hate to say it, Dan, even if she appeared on your show again, that's what would happen. I'd switch off. She is
I'm sure a lot of
not a
people
pleasant
do.
human being. She is someone who is motivated entirely by remaining in profile, in the public eye, but really what the substance of what she has to say and do, frankly, is not worth listening to and tolerating. So for me, don't take a platform away, don't take anyone's platform away. As a free speech absolutist who's just put his teeth back in, I don't want to see anyone lose their platform, but I do have the right to press the mute button.
Oh, yes, you do. You absolutely do. At number 11, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's fake royal tour to Nigeria. First, though, hot flashes, sleepless nights, weight gain, joint pain. I know a lot of you are dealing with or have dealt with these symptoms, especially the women in the Outspoken family. Now, obviously, I haven't experienced menopause firsthand, but I have heard from many of you about the challenges that come with it. So today, good news. By now, most of you have heard me talk about Verso. I've been taking their products since near the beginning of the year, and I have to be honest, transformed me last year. But today, I want to focus on all of you amazing women out there, especially those dealing with menopause or perimenopause. I've heard from so many of you about how tough this phase of life can be. Well, Celbene by Verso is designed to target those symptoms head on by addressing the root cause. It's formulated with ingredients that are proven to increase NAD+ levels. Now, that is huge because NAD+ is what keeps your cells healthy and energized, but it drops off as we age and especially during menopause. But here's the big thing. Boosting NAD+ can make a big difference to how you feel. So women who've taken Celbene are reporting some pretty amazing changes, actually. Hot flashes disappearing, more energy, joint pain relief, weight loss, and mental clarity. Some listeners have even told me their periods have come back or have become regulated. So they actually feel like they're turning back the clock on aging. That's not a surprise because the ingredients in Celbene have shown to balance hormones without going the traditional hormone therapy route. It also helps with inflammation and metabolism, which is especially helpful for managing weight and keeping you feeling your best. Plus, these research-backed ingredients have been shown to improve bone health, which is crucial for postmenopausal women at risk of osteoporosis. Now, what I love about Celbene, I think you will too, is that it doesn't just mask the symptoms of menopause, it tackles the root causes of aging, helping you feel stronger, healthier, and more energized from the inside out. So if you haven't tried it yet and you're ready to take back control of your health and feel more like yourself, click on the link in the description on YouTube or Rumble just below this video in the show notes, or head on over to buy.ver.so/outspoken. If you use the coupon code outspoken today, when you check out, you will save 15% on your first order. Believe me, this is the perfect way to start the year, because if you're tired of the sleepless nights, the hot flashes, or just feeling off, you can give Celbene a try. It helped me so much. Gosh, last year now. It feels so weird saying that. Last year. But absolutely, I'm going to be continuing to take it in 2025. So to repeat, that's buy.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code outspoken. But now, back to the show. Given how this has all become a PR exercise, I'm prepared to openly doubt the veracity of the test and would love to see the results. And by the way, I'm not the only one asking to see the proof. Outraged Nigerian commentators are quite rightly asking the question too.
43%. I don't understand, you know.
You want to see the proof?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Her actions tells me she's not a Nigerian. For example, if a Nigerian girl were lucky enough or whatever, marry into the royal family, I think she would know what to do. I think she would have respected her in-laws, because that's the way we were cultured. We have aunties, uncle, we have extended family. She would have respected her extended family. And before, you know, a Nigerian woman would have earned the queen's love and respect that she will start cooking jollof rice within the royal families. And I believe the queen would have been eating jollof rice before she passed away.
And that would have been better.
Then I would have known she's a Nigerian woman. In all of the things that she has done, nothing. The only thing that I could say probably linked her to Nigeria is that she looked pretty like Nigerian women.
This is
Yep, totally. Also, Meghan, what the hell happened to Malta? Are you not interested in that island anymore because they're a little bit too white? Because that is the hilarious thing, Charlie Downes. At some point, Meghan Markle had claimed she was Maltese. This is the period when, remember, she was describing herself as Caucasian on her acting CV. Then all of a sudden she realizes, okay, I'm going to lean into my mother's cultural heritage because I've cut my white dad off. So she sends away for one of these DNA tests. Now, do we really believe it? Have we seen the results? And claims that she's 43% Nigerian. I think the Nigerians saw through it.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? For all the talk of white privilege, it seems that the current culture that we live in and the media landscape that we operate in seems to encourage people to deny their whiteness, if you want, and prioritize those parts of their identity that aren't white. And I think we saw that with Meghan Markle. But, you know, with her, I think you just reap what you sow. I mean, she has given the public no reason to trust her. She's given the public no reason to trust her intentions and her motivations and this sort of thing. So I don't think it's any surprise that there was a lot of questions around this tour that they supposedly did. And again, a lot of it, it's not going to seem authentic just because of that world that she comes from, that being Hollywood. There's a sense that it's all for the cameras. There is a sense that it's all a PR exercise. And I think that's probably exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was a PR exercise because, I mean, Chris Davies, she was bestowed a Nigerian title on this visit, for example, that she said she would treasure, but she hasn't used it. Of course, she wants to keep being referred to as the Duchess of Sussex. And according to Angela Levin, our royal mastermind, insists that strangers now refer to her as Mom, which is very, very interesting for someone who seemed to have such a problem with the traditions of the British royal family.
Well, it does, Dan. I mean, where she perhaps has got some empathy with Nigerian roots is around the scammers, because she is one. And so I would wonder whether or not she asked anybody for their 16-digit number, expiry date, and the last 3 digits on the back of their card, because that's about her level. Look, we can talk about Meghan and Harry all day long. I don't have anything good to say. And my mother used to tell me if I didn't have anything good to say about somebody, not to say anything. But I'm here to comment, and so therefore I have. She is an odious, horrible human being. I did have the misfortune to meet her once in Ireland when she was with Harry at an event at the UK embassy in the Republic of Ireland. And she was perfectly pleasant, but with a permanently fixed false grin. Look, these people are not to be trusted, Dan, and I frankly hope for a peaceful 2025 with much less involvement from Meghan and Harry. But I know from your point of view on Outspoken, she gives you hours of amusement and unlimited content. So therefore, in my own special way, I want her to be around.
Thank you. Well, look, you know what I view the job of Outspoken to do. It is about challenging untrue narratives in the mainstream media across the board, actually. And one of my specialisms is obviously royal reporting. I broke the story of Megxit, broke lots of the other stories about the bad behavior of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle within the royal family. So I like to think that I shine a light on just what they're really like, because that matters, right? Because they are trying to present to the world and actually make hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, there's a real financial thing about presenting themselves as something they're not. So hopefully you get the real story here on Outspoken. But I'm sorry to both of you for putting you through that Harry and Meghan discussion. But look, it's been so brilliant to have you today. So brilliant to have you as part of Outspoken. Can't wait to see you later in 2025. And Happy New Year to Charlie Downes
Happy New Year,
and Chris Davies, our superstar panel today. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source. and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.